I can't hear you, brother. I can hear you now, brother.
Okay. Get this now.
Hold on.
Let's bring this up a little bit. Can you hear me now, Dr. Jasper?
I can hear you just fine now, my brother. How are you this morning?
All right. Great, man. Great. How you doing this morning? How you feeling?
I'm good, man. Good, brother. Got my X-ray light right behind me, brother.
There you go. I
I'm
see
good.
it. I
I'm
see
good money, brother.
it. That's what's up, man. It does. So elated to have you on the show, man. This is a very interesting month, a time. The subject matter is really interesting in these times, man. So I was really excited to have you on the show. So we just want to go ahead and get this thing going. Well,
Okay.
guys, this is we wanted to make sure and go ahead and do this thing right. Get everybody on set. Everybody's good. Hold on, let me see. All right. Well, welcome to the Meta Biz Show, guys. And right now, we definitely talking about a lot of different things that definitely comes with mental empowerment. I'm Meta Marvin. I associate myself in a lot of different sectors here. I'm here in the Carolinas. I run a financial technology non-depository bank. The first one has ever been put into the Carolinas. I definitely into financial endeavors. I teach financial literacy. I have a nonprofit, which is called Wisdom Foundation. I also have a doctorate degree as well in metaphysics. Also, I teach spiritual economics. And I do that not from a material standpoint. I try to talk people about our mind, a lot of things that's affecting us, guys. And these are the times that we have to really make sure that we're taking care of our spirit, our mind, and everything that really dictates of how we react to things. And that's really spilling out in our community right now. It's spilling out in so many different aspects of how we're really being able to to get through things, about how our awareness is and the things that we're really paying attention to. So I have a special guest today, guys, and his name is Kendal Jasper, PhD. He's the owner of Jasper Psychological Services, PLLC, and the clinical director of ARJ Incorporated. And this brother, he's been rolling, man. He has a really interesting background. Jasper's been practicing psychologist for over 15 years. He holds a PhD, MA in clinical psychology from the University of North Carolina at Greensboro. He received a BA in psychology from the University of North Carolina at Charlotte. Dr. Jasper's experience includes community mental health, psychiatric inpatient settings, sports psychology, program development, implementation, training, consulting for various groups, span from the community agents, employees to educators, to incorporate leadership. He has provided treatment to individuals, families, couples, groups from various rural and urban populations, substance abuse treatment for adolescents and adults, anger management, behavior management training for children, adolescents, adults, families, individuals, athletes, teams. The most recent endeavors incorporate ongoing interview series with Ebony Mind, Body, and Soul, public speaking, syndicated radio appearances, TV appearances. He's embracing advances in technology and using digital age to provide services in the form of teletherapy and services for companies which include, not limited, NBA, NFL, Nike, Essence, TikTok, Harvard University. Wow. College of Charleston, United Healthcare Group, Smart Water, Orleans Parish School System, Tulane University. And these platforms have provided an opportunity to provide general health tips and strategies for addressing mental health, human behavior into a wider audience. Wow. You've been busy, brother.
Listen, man, when you're a black man, you can't afford to just sit down, brother. You gotta stay
Man. Nah, we can't, man. God is using us, brother. I'm elated, man. Again, I'm excited to hear some feedback from you about a lot of things that's really relevant in our community, man. Well, in the world, in that we're in right now.
Mm.
And but I just want to jump in first, man, because I'm gonna tell you that it's so interesting, and God is really, the universe is really, it's interesting. I'm just gonna put that word out there.
Okay.
I was talking to a brother of mine. He's a real good close friend of mine, and he knew you. And I'm like, okay, I'm about to have a brother on the show.
Okay.
And then I also knew his nephew, Rashawn
Yeah. So
and Troy Veal.
yeah, Troy's one of my frat brothers, man.
Oh man, come
Troy's
on,
my guy,
man.
man. Troy and I have known each other since 1994.
Wow, bro.
Yeah,
That's my dude,
Troy
man.
pledged in the spring at Livingstone. I pledged in the fall at UNC Charlotte. And
Yeah.
Troy and I have known each other since 94. Troy and I have done a lot of business together. We were in ownership together for a while. Troy's my guy, man.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, man. Yeah, he's so very, very highly of you, man. And Rashawn is out of the country right now, and he was just talking about you had really been of course in the middle of all the mental health and a lot of things that you brought to the table, man. And I was just in San Diego at a Magnify Your Wealth conference with
Okay.
Troy last week. We were in San Diego together.
Okay.
And yeah, he's got the laboratories going, and he's really done a lot of amazing things during COVID as well. So yeah, I just thought that was really interesting, man. So that's great, man. So let's jump into it, man. So what I just really want to just be authentic, man. Jasper, how did this thing happen, man? What made you really knew that this was something that you had to really get into, not so much from a business standpoint, but it feels like this has just been a part of your life, brother. Right?
Authentically, I'll say that I didn't. Right. And be
Oh,
honest,
okay.
I come from a family that has always had a strong emphasis on serving
Mm-hmm.
the community. Strong, family roots on my mother and father's side.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I watched my mother and father for a very long time give of themselves to other people, family, friends, people who weren't friends, our community in East New York, Brooklyn, where I spent most of my life until I was 16.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a very strong athletic prowess.
Mm-hmm.
Started with football, ended with basketball and baseball, and ultimately ended with basketball because I played basketball at UNC Charlotte.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So I thought I was going to be a pro for a long time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought I was going to be a pro for a long time, and I didn't choose my major. My major was chosen by the secretary of the basketball team.
Mm-hmm.
The day I had to declare major, so I wouldn't be ineligible. She chose psychology for me, and I did always tell my mother I would be a doctor or a lawyer. And after getting my degree in psychology and flirting with pro basketball and really not liking my options, I decided to go back to school. And I realized that I wanted to take a route or a road that was less traveled. And I don't know too many African American male licensed clinical psychologists at all. I've only met 2 in my entire life. Like
very rare. Yeah.
So that was the route I chose. And it's been a blessing, to be honest with you, man. It couldn't be more gratifying.
Yeah.
Couldn't be more gratifying.
Well, yeah, man. Well, I'll tell you, you're in the space, man. My daughter, she is in behavioral science. She went to East Carolina, and she's going for her doctorate now. And I think she's working for a practice or something under her master's right now. But I just based on with her being just involved in this space, man, it's just been so it's been amazing to me just being a black man and just being understanding of not so much of what we went through, man, but it's just the awareness of how this thing is really plays a big part and a big role in our life. And it's like we're just on autopilot. We're not even really, looking at it from that route, you know. But man, so I mean, you know, I had a few things, of course, in front of me, man, some tips and things that we wanted to talk about. So, I mean, I know, you know, Dr. Jasper, I mean, well, for me, I was in the military. I've seen professional help mentally. You know, I was definitely right now from a PTSD. I was in Desert Storm.
Mhm.
I've seen a lot of things, and so I'm, you know, I'm a I'm a catalyst of this whole thing.
Sure.
PTSD, anxiety. You know, I'll wake up sometimes and sweat. So you know, I'm a disabled vet myself, brother. So this is what's really inspiring to me for for you to step up, man, and really come with solutions and really put your energy into this space, man. So what are the signs, man? I mean, what do we look for? You know, I know sometimes they always take us back to what happened to us, whether it was a child or what are
Mhm.
some of the symptoms, you know, Dr. Jasper, that you sort of look for? Where does this thing starts when you have someone in front of you and, you know, about just getting a little bit more better of an idea of where someone is in their mental space?
Well, I mean, some of it depends. So obviously, you start off with what's called sort of a routine sort of mental status exam. You want to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that someone's connected with you in the here and now, right? They're oriented to person, place, time, situation. You
Mm-hmm.
know, just to kind of give you a small caption of that. Obviously, you know, if someone's sitting across from me, I want to make sure that they understand who they're seeing, maybe the reason for their visit. Simple
Mm-hmm.
things like, do you know what day of the week it is?
Right.
What time of the day it is?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you know, what exactly is going on? And that's just routine for everybody, right? And that doesn't necessarily suggest that I believe that the person sitting across from me is, you know, not engaged or having some thought related issues, what
Mm-hmm.
we typically call like schizophrenia or some form of thought disorder spectrum issue. But that's where it usually begins. And then as people start to tell you their story and why they're there, then it helps you to navigate where to go next, because not everybody that sits across from me may be depressed.
Right.
Not
Mm-hmm.
everybody that sits across from me may be anxious.
Mm-hmm.
Right now,
Mm-hmm.
more often than not, depression and anxiety and it being clinically diagnosed
Mm-hmm.
are the at the top of the hill in terms of, you know, you have more incidents of people being depressed and anxious more than any other mental health disorder across the
Mm-hmm.
country. So um you know, it really just depends on how they present. You know, I'm the type that I don't like to really read someone's information before they sit in front of me, because I don't want to have any perceptions or preconceived notions about who this person may be.
Interesting. Yeah,
I
I
want to be
like
able
that.
to see it in real time
Mm-hmm.
and let that guide
Mm-hmm.
the direction in which I move. And then after we're done, you know, reconcile all of this information before I make a determination.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
I want it to be a very natural and organic and authentic process.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and of course, in some situations you have to do, if I'm dealing with someone who is, you know, has some suicide or homicidal risk, then obviously I want to read up on them in
Yeah.
preparation for something that may be crisis related. But if it's a routine situation, then
Mm-hmm.
you know, I just like to say, hey, let's sit down, let's have a conversation, because a lot of it is about rapport building and relationships anyway.
Mm-hmm. It is.
You
It
know, I
is.
want to make you feel comfortable enough to share,
Yeah. Right. Right.
you know, and then
Right.
comfortable enough that I may have to make some tough statements to you and you not get offended by it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 I definitely I get that. I feel that energy from you, brother. I mean, you know, just first me and you definitely just initially definitely just meeting via doing this interview, but just being authentic and be, you know, just sense of being real, bro. And I
Have to
can
be,
really appreciate that, man. Like,
have
you
to
know,
be.
like I feel like, hey, let me be vulnerable. Let me get a sit down with this guy. You know what I'm saying?
All
He can
good.
help me, you know what I'm saying? Because hey, you know, I need it. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Let me just say this though. If we were talking about somebody that was depressed or anxious,
Yeah.
usually you're paying attention to, you know, levels of irritability, sleep patterns, eating patterns, you know, what sense they have of themselves,
Mm-hmm.
you know, if they're having some hopeless or worthlessness feelings,
Mm-hmm.
how is it impacting their everyday functioning, you know, family, if they have one, work, school,
Mm-hmm.
socially. So those are some of the things that you're looking for and paying attention to
Yeah.
identify, okay, if this person is experiencing these things more often than not, and it's been going on for more than 3 or 4 weeks, then we're dealing with someone who probably can afford some form of a mood disorder diagnosis.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And that's really just on the sort of the depression and anxiety side. But I wanted to leave you at least with some symptoms.
Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, we're talking about the kids, man. And so, well, it's all right, man. Look, I'm gonna jump in. Kendall, right?
It's Kendal. It's all good, brother.
Kendal. All right,
yeah, call me Kendal, man. It's all good, my brother.
All right, good, bro.
In,
all
man.
right,
Let's do it.
Kendal, man. Yeah, man. So I mean, so check this out, man. So I'm always looking. I don't really look at like the news the way other people look at it. I'm seeing what's going on out here, though, man. There's a lot of craziness going on, and it's been going on. The shootings and all the stuff that's going on all over the country, man. What do you see this sort of plays a part, man, when it comes to this mental health? Like, these people, I mean, of course, we've heard about it in the past, but it's like, it's just happening like every week now, What is your feedback on this, man, when it comes from the mental health aspect about that?
My feedback on it is, I have on my sweatshirt says, I hate, right? I want it specific. I have several interviews today, including yours, because I want to address hate and pain. Right. I think that it originates from a place of pain.
Yeah.
Right. Unless you're justified in actions of harming another person to defend yourself.
Yeah.
Right. There's no cause or justification to harm someone.
Right.
Right. So it has to be born out of some form of pain. And that's not making an excuse for anyone. But I think that you have pain, you have agendas, coupled with lack of resources, not proper resources. And this is where we end up. The reality is that there has to be a much more concerted effort to address mental health and wellness in this country. Period. And it needs to be at the forefront of everything we do. And what I'll say is that in the same way we teach kids mathematics, science, history, English, we need wellness as part of that curriculum every day.
Yeah.
Right. And we I think people think that because there's so much fear and concern about, playing with people's minds, so to speak. It's not really what we're here to do. What we're here to do is in the same way we talk about decisions and choices and physical education, talk about the mental aspects of being appropriate, managing stress, right? Socially, how to get along well with others.
Yeah, right.
How to express yourself in appropriate ways.
That's real.
How to talk about the way that you feel.
That's real.
But and again, some of that is about political agendas, and I'm not here to talk about politics.
Hey, but you can open up on this show, man, because I just had a conversation on the way in about it.
That gets in the way.
Yeah.
Right, about what our core issues are. From the ground up, if we're building a foundation, right? We don't for human beings, we don't build our foundation. We don't start with your feet. We start with your brain and the mechanism of your brain. Right? Because your brain, whether you feel like it's a decision to be made or not, right? There was a thought and a decision made in almost the speed of a light second to engage in an activity and a behavior. And I think people don't understand that.
That's interesting. Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So you just put your hand on your face.
Yep.
Your brain had to send a signal to your arm and your hand to put it on your face.
Yeah.
Whether you thought about it or not, it happened that fast.
That is. It's true.
So how are we not addressing and managing those things? Right? Then maybe, just maybe, kids that are getting bullied are able to talk about it in an open forum. right? Maybe just maybe they build a connection with people in school before they are out of school that they can talk to in a way that they can't talk to individuals in their home.
Yeah.
Because we've opened that up as part of this process and that curriculum and the things that we need to do.
Yeah. Wow, man. So when it goes back to just us as a people, though, you know, I mean, a lot of times we was, Marv, it's not about race conscious things of that sort, but it's just, I guess, our perspective of, we just use it, the 400 years and things that we've experienced and things like that. Can we just bear witness on just what you feel, what that's just done to us as a people, and how do you see it, brother? Because I know you to me, of course, you come off of, brother, that you've looked at, our community, you looked at the world as a whole, but what you think just us as Black people, man, what's going on, people say generational curses, but a lot of that is just the mental health, mental abuse. And then we doing it to ourselves sometimes, I was just at a funeral yesterday, man, and it was just like, oh man, your dad was crazy. Yeah, boy, you crazy. Just like, and I'm just listening to it and just being a part of the family, but I could just see just the way we talk to each other, how do you think that just like it's just like a certain, we're just like, I don't know, we're just like really just like numb to what's going on in our lives, in our communities. And I guess with your education, man, and your experience, how do you just bring that all into perspective when you're talking to our community in a whole?
Well, I mean, that's loaded, brother. We could talk. We could talk for 2 straight weeks about that, right?
Yeah.
So, I've written some about the psychology of racism, right? And I think that it becomes a very easy target, but it actually is the target. Because a lot of what we experience here in this country has been born out of the concept of racism and then the activation of it. So we can't understate it enough on how it impacts every fiber of who we are, how we view ourselves, how we manage ourselves, our access to resources, health disparities, educational disparities, legal disparities, and the list goes on.
Right.
So where does that all originate? That all originates from a place of us not being considered, number one, to be even human beings, 3/5 of a human being. That was
really come on. There you go.
Right. It also exists in a place where marketing, propaganda, messaging has all been about the fact that you are less than another person. Whether we believe it to be true in 2022 or not, right? Some of that has been ingrained in the subconscious of people who look around and identify and know that we're the only group of people that have been enslaved on this soil. With sometimes a lack of acknowledgement of the impact that it's had on us.
Yeah.
So what does that teach us to do and be? It teaches us to be resilient in a way that sometimes suggests that you can't afford to talk about that or bring it up because they don't care and it's not an excuse. You have to achieve in spite of.
In spite of.
You have to feel isolation. You have to take, you have to turn the other cheek. You got to take the high road in the face of certain things that aren't correct because you're after something greater for you and your family. But you take all of that and then where do you put it? Who do you talk to about it? Right. You go home and you talk to your family. I don't know if you have mental health professionals in your family. You talk to your bishop, talk to your homeboys, right? But you aren't talking to a professional that you really can have an objective conversation with about how this has made you feel and the level of impact that it's had on you, right?
Yeah.
You know, and that's why it's important for us to be able to be in a position to better manage and work on healing us in that respect, because we all share in that experience. My brother, you know, there's some unwrittens here, even on this video call, that you and I understand from a simple head nod, right? Or look, or like, I know what that means. That nonverbal communication, I understand what it means. That colloquialism that we use, we understand what that means. And you know, we'd be remiss if we don't talk about it. You know, man, how many people do you have to be in a day, Brother Marvin?
Come on,
Right? When you're around your black friends, you Marvin or Marv or whatever your nickname is.
Yep.
When you get around white folks, you know, you're Marvin Wilson. How you doing? Yeah, pleasure to meet you. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
That has an impact on you.
Yeah.
That
it does, man. That's interesting. God, wow, I've never had somebody to come at me like that. It's like, for me, it's like funding CEO. Meta Marvin is the spiritual. And then when I'm home, it's Tyrone, because Tyrone was me in high school. That was the dude that was in the hood and never went to jail, but could have slipped on a banana. You know, I'm the one that went to the military, you know. So you're right about that, man. That's interesting. Wow.
So how does that not have an impact on you mentally? Right? I'm code switching, I'm personality switching, I'm behavior switching. Right? I'm being very cautious about what I show, because others may not be prepared for the true cultural person that I am and how I express it. Right? It all lends itself to suppressing thoughts, suppressing behaviors, suppressing opinions, and sometimes putting you in a very passive state.
Yeah. Yeah. I tell you, man, this is so interesting. And, you know, for me, man, it's like, I'm going to be, I'll be 50 years old, July the 17th. So, and I'm looking at it, man, it's like, even when it comes to, you know, brother, like when it comes to like our relationships, and it's not even about like friendships, you know, like my spiritual mentor, he was like, you know, Marvin, you know, I really want people to start, not only, it's not about the love aspect about marriage and things like that, but we really need to start looking at getting into a healing modality, like looking, not seeking, but look for someone that you can be vulnerable with, like a healing partner. You know, I mean, wow, healing partner. He says, yeah, man, that's really what, you know, it comes to people at different levels, but I think at where I'm at with my maturity and, you know, what I've been through, that's really what I'm identifying my life with now. I'm looking for like more would be like on a healing partner, bro. You know,
I would just say this, Brother Marvin, is I understand that, but I think that even that has to take on a perspective, because you make yourself vulnerable to people doesn't always mean that even if they present themselves as a good healing partner, that they're going to do right by you. And you have to come to terms with the idea that you've shared with this person, and it may or may not go the way that you expected or perceived it to go. And you have to be okay with that, because you're okay with yourself. Because ultimately, when you're alone, it's you and your thoughts and no one else. So you have to be able to say, hey, I shared with this person because that's the decision that I made. What they chose to do with it was the decision that they made.
Right.
I can't take responsibility for what they decided to do. If I came and I did the part that I wanted and needed to do from an honest and space of me feeling like this is what I needed to do for my own health. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, right.
I think that, and maybe that's the approach that you take, because then you always rely on trusting yourself more than other people, right? And being able to reconcile things based on choices and decisions that you make. And doesn't mean you don't learn from them. Recognize and take ownership of it, and then try not to beat yourself up for it. You understand what I'm saying? Because there's another person here who plays a role, and ultimately they didn't have to do what they decided to do in the circumstance, and you have to let them take accountability for that. That's what I would say there. The last thing I would say, brother, is this, right? And I'm gonna leave you with this, and we'll talk a little bit more about this Black experience. If I asked you, Mr. Marvin, where are you from? You would tell me what?
I'm from Salisbury, North Carolina.
Okay, but where are you from? Where's your homeland? Where exactly are your people? Where you from, brother?
Uh, I don't know.
Bingo. How do we
Hmm.
truly identify where we're going? How do we
Right.
create connectivity with our ancestry and maybe the power of it? And
Hmm.
we don't even know where we originate. I would assume because of my pigmentation, I'm from West Africa,
Yeah.
right? I would assume that. I
Hmm.
couldn't tell you with 100% certain.
Hmm. That's true.
So, how do I build a strong foundation and stand on solid footing if that's a important question that I can't answer from the very beginning?
Yeah. Hmm.
And that is part of the journey in the process. And that has been strategic.
Yeah.
We have to then establish that here.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
understand?
Yeah. Yeah.
Create that foundation here. And that's what's most important.
Yeah, yeah, man. Well, yeah, man. I just wanted to ask you too, man. This is just to end this. When it comes to our kids, and it comes to like with my daughter, I think that what I wanted to definitely make sure, um, me as I'd say definitely going to be well, being a black man and being a father. I really fought hard because I know it helped me. I think a whole lot being in the military, but just making sure that my daughter was well traveled and can really be able to have different experiences with different cultures, and sure to be not from just being grateful, but just able to see the world from a larger perspective, not just you know, our, the bodega, or, being around our block, or, I went to see my cousins down south, you know, and what do you think that plays a role with us as people, man? Just being able to be, well traveled and being able to see different aspects and different cultures and different people.
Well, I think that experience is about learning and building tolerance,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And I think that there's a lot that you learn from travel and how other people live. You got to think about this. Malcolm X, Malcolm X's approach and opinion was vastly changed with his visit to Mecca,
Yeah.
right?
That's real.
He relied on somebody else to tell him what that experience was like. But when he
Mhm.
experienced it for himself, he
For
came
himself.
home with a totally different perspective on Islam and what it needed to look like.
Yeah.
You
He did.
understand? I think
Mm.
that can be used as an example of understanding why it's important to experience different things culturally. And what I'll say is that we're kind of getting back on the pony with that. Not that COVID is over,
Yeah.
because it's still alive
Yeah.
and well.
Yeah.
Uh, but as people kind of get back out, and experience those things, I think that hopefully there's a level of appreciation more so than ever than we had
Mm.
before because of what we've dealt with in the pandemic.
Yeah.
And in closing, what I'll say is that post the pandemic, partnering with wonderful campaigns like We Can Do This, uh,
Hmm.
which is a national campaign that's being done about education around COVID, vaccinations, resources, really working on bridging disparities between African Americans and other groups.
Yes.
I
Hmm.
think that you talked about healing and you talked about process.
Hmm.
This campaign and what they're offering is one of those resources that we can use as part of a healing process, because ultimately we're still seeing the effects,
Hmm.
and we will
Yep.
continue to see the effects year
Yep.
in and year out of COVID. So I think that it's important, um, that we understand the times that we're in and what we're dealing with. And if we are going to travel, we travel in a safe way,
Hmm. Yeah.
right? Understand how to protect ourselves and other people.
Hmm.
Um, and we really, look toward, these types of campaigns and organizations to help. And also the fact that they are working with Black folks trying to help Black folks as
Yeah.
trusted sources
Yeah.
and experts in the room. And I think that that's very important
Yeah.
as we work on healing ourselves, if that
Mhm.
makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I mean, Brother, give a little bit of information, to our listeners, man. What you're doing with this movement. How can people stay connected with you, man?
Mhm.
You was on the Breakfast Club. I mean, you've been all over the country, really, really doing your part and making this thing really bringing the awareness, brother. And then, kudos to you, man. That's a lot of appreciation for me. And I'm definitely for the community. Like I said, I'm really was looking forward, not so much as just being Mental Health Awareness Month, but this is real, man. This is every day, man. This is what
All day.
Yeah, bro.
Every day is mental health awareness day, my brother.
Yeah, right.
We'd let me just say this, brother Marvin. Thank you, number one. Great conversation, man. Love to come back if you'll have me for sure, brother. Especially now, you part of the home team. My brother Troy Villa, I call Sean my nephew as well.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. What I'll say is that I can be reached. My social media handle is at DOCNDADUDE at Doc and the Dude, and also at Dr. Kendal Jasper as it's spelled, on the screen. So can hit me up, follow me, hit me up. I try to get back to folks. A lot of times people ask me for my email address. I give it to them, and they're able to better explain some of the things that are going on as I make an attempt to help them with the things that they're dealing with. But again, brother, I want to say thank you, man. I appreciate you giving me the platform and opportunity to talk. Great conversation.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's the whole thing, man. Like I talk about a lot of things it does with underwriting and financial, man. But I've been calling myself Meta Marvin, man, for the last 8 years, man. And that was before Facebook went there. And it's beyond, man. It's just we way bigger than these meat suits, man.
Brother,
way bigger than that, bro.
I say we got to keep this conversation going, right? It's one of my hashtags. We absolutely have to keep this conversation going.
Yeah.
There's never a day that we don't need to talk about mental health, and wellness, brother.
Yeah. I totally concur with that, man. And bro, I appreciate you, man. Like again, we definitely got to keep in contact, man. I have another podcast as well called The Thinkers Lounge, and I think we could really get a little bit deeper. I'd love to be able to have you back, man, and definitely want to make sure I definitely share my contact information. Again, we both, home team, and I appreciate what you're doing, man. Not only for the community, of course, the children, bro, and whatever we can do from my end, man. Just definitely let me know, man. And I'm just grateful to see brothers out here really just getting to the solution of really what's causing all this, man. People deal with the effects, but this is the cause.
Absolutely.
The cause, man. So, hey, man. Hey, glad to have you on, man. Listen, man, have an amazing weekend. Be careful Memorial Day weekend. You know how that go.
You do the same. Have a good one, my brother. Truly appreciate it, Marvin.
Okay, man. You too, brother.
All right, man. All right.
All right. All right. Peace.